Hi guys, so this week you do have your very last, for most of you, quiz in geometry. We're not going to have a final as a class. Some of you that are on the verge of passing, failing, I sent you out a message over the weekend about a possible final, so make sure you check your Canvas messenger just in case you think you might be one of those people that needs to take a final. If you want to take the final just to increase your grade, that is certainly something we can work out, but it is not a requirement that I'm asking of all of you. I just think that the final can just be a way for me to make sure that those people that might not be passing right now have enough knowledge to move on to Algebra 2 next year. So don't freak out if you are not taking the final. Not everyone is, so that is all I have to say about that. For this upcoming quiz on Wednesday, you should have some type of reference sheet like the one I have here. So this was given out at the very beginning of this unit. I told you to write this down, print it out if you're able to. I would for sure have something to this nature, either pulled up on another tab while you're taking the quiz on Wednesday, or written down on a piece of paper. These are really good diagrams showing you where each variable is coming from in the formula, as well as giving you all the formulas right underneath the actual object or 3D figure. So definitely do not try to have this memorized. I do not expect that of you, and it's not needed, okay? So moving on, the majority of people that took the quiz on Friday, where I asked, hey, what would you like as a review? A lot of you just said more problems in another video. A few of you said a quizzes or Kahoot, and I'm going to try my best to make one of those for tomorrow. But no promises. Those take a lot of time because just importing the pictures and making the questions themselves, it just takes a lot of time. So, but I'm going to try my best, and in the meantime, we are going to do some of these problems. Today, I'm going to focus on surface area, and then tomorrow I'm going to focus on volume, okay? Because surface area I know was at the beginning of last week, so we're just going to start with there. We do have about 7 problems that we're going to do. We're not going to do part 2. Those are word problems, and I just don't think they're important right now. So don't worry about where it says part 2. In your attendance quiz today, I am just going to ask you some just very overarching questions about today. You're not going to have to do any of these on your own. What I do suggest doing is trying all of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 on your own before watching the rest of this video. I am going to put the answers up in just a second, and what that means is you're going to be able to check your work for all of these problems and then see which ones you got wrong, if any, and then you can watch the rest of the video to see where you mixed up, okay? So showing answers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so for number 2, what we have is a rectangular prism that we're finding the surface area for. So I'm going to write down the surface area formula, which is 2 times the length times width plus 2 times the length times height plus 2 times the width times height. Okay, and then this 18 inches, that could be my length. The 3.5 inches could be my width, and then the 15 inches could be my height. So then now all I have to do is just plug in those numbers to my formula. I'm going to get 2 times 18 times 3.5 plus 2 times 18 again times 15 this time plus 2 times 3.5 times 15. And plugging that all into my calculator, I end up with 126 plus 540 plus 105 to get 771, and then we're in inches, and since we're still dealing with surface area, we're in square units. 4. So number 4, I'm finding the surface area again of a square or rectangle. No, it's a square. A square pyramid. So the surface area formula for this shape is going to be 1/2 times the slant height times the perimeter plus the base area. Okay, and that uppercase B again means that base area. So my slant height is going to be this diagonal line coming from the top of the pyramid going against one of those faces, and it's on like the outside face of the pyramid, is 22.1. Whoops. The perimeter is coming from the perimeter of the base, so 28 plus 28, this side is also 28, this side is also 28. So 28 times 4 will give me my perimeter of 112. And then I need my base area. My base area comes from, again, this rectangle on the bottom of the pyramid is my base. So my base is going to be 28 times 28, or 28 squared, to get 784. And I would get 1,237.6 plus 784 to be 2,021.6 meters squared. For number 6, I am finding the surface area this time of a cylinder. So the surface area formula for a cylinder is going to be 2 times pi r squared plus 2 times pi times r times the height. Okay, so my radius is going to only be from the center of the cylinder, or the center of the circular base of the cylinder to the edge of the circle. So I have to take half of 16 to find my radius of 8. And then my height is going to be the height of the cylinder. That would be from one base to the other. So that height is going to be 13. So my surface area is going to be 2 times pi times 8 squared plus 2 times pi times 8 again times my height of 13. And plugging that all in, I get a total of 1,055.58 centimeters squared. Okay, so for number 8, we have a triangular prism. So we're going to take the height of the prism times the perimeter of the base plus 2 times the area of the base. So your base has to be this triangle right here. Okay. There's a base, and then the other base would be here. So it has 2 bases. That's where the 2 times base is coming from. You have 2 bases in a prism. So now if I think about, let's find the base first. So the base area has to be 1/2 the height times the base. So I'm going to need this actual base side. I don't know what it is. If I were to draw this triangle out over here, it should be a right triangle. I know the height of this triangle is 15.2. The hypotenuse is 19 yards. That's from the other base. Those should be the same size. There's my right angle. So I want to figure out what this base leg length is. So I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. Take x squared plus 15.2 squared equals 19 squared. And I would get x squared to be 129.96. Okay, then I have to take the square root, and x is 11.4. So now that I know that this side is 11.4, I can use that to find my base area. So my base area is 1/2 times 11.4 times 15.2. And so my base area turns out to be 86.44. Okay? Not 44, 64, my bad. Now, I need to find the perimeter of that base. So my perimeter is, I'm just going to take all the sides in my triangle and add them together. So perimeter is going to be 19 plus 15.2 plus 11.4 to get 45.6. And then my height for this triangle, or for this triangular prism, is still going to be 15.2, or not 15.2, my bad, 16 yards, because it's the height between the bases. It's not the, I'm thinking of the height from my base, but this H, and if you have your reference sheet, it makes it very clear that this H means it's the height between the bases, or the distance between the two bases. So my H has to be 16. So my surface area formula is going to be 16 times 45.6 plus 2 times my base area. My base was the triangle, 86.64. And so my surface area comes out to be 902.88 yards squared. I have a cone, and again I'm finding the surface area. The surface area of a cone, you want to be very careful. It is pi times the radius squared plus pi times the radius times the slant height. So the slant height is actually this distance right here, which we're not actually told. When I first started this problem, I actually just looked at it too fast, and I used this and I got the completely wrong answer. So make sure you are paying attention to what the variables actually stand for and what you should be using. So since I need the slant height, I'm going to have to be using Pythagorean theorem, like I've been using to solve for this hypotenuse of one of these right triangles. I'm going to need the radius as well. I'm given the diameter of this circular base, so I need my radius to only be half of the diameter. So I'm going to take half of 17.6 to get a radius of just 8.8. And now I actually have everything I need for this right triangle to solve for my slant height. This is 8.8. That's one of the legs. And then my altitude is 23.4. That's my other leg. And then I want to solve for my slant height, which I'm going to call x. So I'm going to take 8.8 squared plus 23.4 squared and set it equal to x squared. So I can put this first part straight into my calculator to get x squared is 625, which actually is a perfect square. So when I take the square root of both sides, x is just 25. So now I have everything I need because this is actually my slant height. So I'm going to plug in everything to my formula of pi times 8.8 squared plus pi times 8.8 again times my slant height of 25. And so my total surface area is 934.44 inches squared. Again, you might be getting a little bit off. It can get off by even 1 inch. Usually it's only off by like a tenth or a thousandth of an inch if you're just using 3.1 instead of the actual pi button in a calculator. But if you get close to this, that is pretty good. Two more, guys. So this is number 12. This is a trapezoidal prism. So when I find the surface area, I am going to use the surface area formula of height times the perimeter plus 2 times the base area. So this is a lot like the number 8, I believe. Same formula, except this time when we find the base area, our base area is of a trapezoid. So that's when it gets a little bit different. And we would take 1/2 the height of the trapezoid times the bases added together in the trapezoid. So that's the only difference between this one and number 8 and the fact that this is a trapezoidal prism. So let's look at what we have. I know this H is going to stand for the height between the bases. Since this is a trapezoidal prism, that means this trapezoid here is my base. So I'm going to kind of highlight that. Okay, so if this is one of my bases, that would mean that this 19 feet is my height between the bases. So I'm going to make note of 19 is my height. My perimeter of my base, if I just look at this trapezoid, it appears to be an isosceles trapezoid, so there's congruent sides here. They should be 27 feet. This is 34 feet, and then this side length has to be congruent to this trapezoid side length as well. So I'm going to take 10 plus 27 plus 34 plus 27 again to get my perimeter of my trapezoid, which turns out to be, I'm going to write it over here, 98. And now I just have to find my base area. So finding the base area, I'm going to need all of this information right here. My base area is 1/2 times the height of the trapezoid. So just thinking about the trapezoid at this point. So that means none of these, this 19 feet should not be in your base area, okay? That was just for the height between the bases. That's already been used. We don't need that anymore. My height of just the trapezoid is dictated by this altitude right here. That's forming that right angle with the bases and going from the bottom to the top. So my height is 24.7. Let's do red. I'm going to do it down here. 24.7. And then I need to find my two bases. My two bases are the two parallel lines in the trapezoid, so that would be here and here. So I'm going to take 10 plus 34. And that is how you would find the base area of the trapezoid, which turns out to be 543.4. Okay, so since there are two bases, that's why we have to take 2 times that base of 543.4 to find my surface area. And this turns out to be 2,948.8 feet squared. All right, guys, last one. So 14. This is a triangular pyramid, okay? It's a pyramid because the faces are meeting at one spot. There's only one base. My base is down here, okay? So for the surface area of this figure, I have to take 1/2 times the slant height times the perimeter of the base plus the actual area of the base. So let's just talk about slant height real fast. So slant height again is going from the base to the very top of the pyramid. It should run along one of the faces of the pyramid, so that would be this dotted line, 20.3. So let's make this my slant height. Next, I need the perimeter of my base. My base appears to be an equilateral triangle, so that makes my perimeter pretty easy. I'm just going to take 12 plus 12 plus 12, or same thing as doing 12 times 3. To get a area of 36, or not area, perimeter of 36. Then next I need to find my base area. So again, my base is a triangle, and I'm going to have to take 1/2 times the height times the base length. So when I'm just thinking about an equilateral triangle, if I draw one down here, I need to know what the height is from the top to the bottom, and it should form a right angle. There is my base. This B is just going to be 12 because any of the sides are 12. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 12. And then now to figure out my height. Figuring out the height is kind of weird in this one. And I'm actually just going to give it to you because it involves some special triangles that we don't really remember. So the base area is the height of this triangle is 6 radical 3. Again, that's coming from those special right triangles that we did a long time ago. So don't worry if you don't remember. This is not one that I would give you on a quiz, but I would actually give you that height. So now, knowing that our base area comes out to be 62.35, okay? And so plugging all of that into my surface area formula, I get 1/2 times the slant height, which is 20.3, times the perimeter, which is 36, plus my base area of 62.35. I ran out of room. And so that turns into 427.75 meters squared. So if you were able to figure out the slant height and the perimeter in this problem, that is good. I probably would have given you the actual base area in this one. So don't freak out if this was like the only one that you got wrong today. But hopefully this video helped and you were able to follow along pretty easily. tomorrow we're going to do the volume side, and I may have a Quizlet that you can practice with before your quiz on Wednesday. I'm still going back and forth on whether or not your quiz will be during your class period. It will for sure have to happen between the regular school hours. That way I know you've taken it and I'm not waiting till midnight for you guys to turn it in. But it may just be whenever you are free to take it. But if you have any questions over these problems, please let me know, and I would love to help you out. But tomorrow we'll go over some more, and we'll be even more prepared for Wednesday. Okay? All right. Bye, guys. See you later.